stand up. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up.
Peter Tosh was a Jamaican reggae musician. He was one of the original Wailing Wailers who existed before being the backing band for Bob Marley, as in Bob Marley and the Wailers. At one point, apparently he was the only one who could actually play any instruments, and it is claimed that he taught Bob Marley to play guitar. In 1976, so this is about a decade on from the start of the Wailers, he left the Wailers to go solo. He had an issue, well, it may have been a couple of years before that, he'd had an issue because the label wouldn't release a solo album from him. The tale of this seems a little confused on Wikipedia, so I'm not quite sure when he left and what the album was that they wouldn't release, but they certainly had a falling out, and as a result he left the Wailers and went solo. In 1976 he then released his first solo album. There is somebody who wrote a book that claimed that he paid for it through a smuggling operation, and it was called Legalize It, and presumably that is referring to marijuana. He then, over the next few years, released 6 more studio albums before, unfortunately, being shot at home during a home invasion in 1987. And the other interesting thing about him was that at some point he became a keen unicycler and was able to ride forwards, backwards and do bunny hops, and he would often ride on stage. Hi, my name's Dan, and yes, I'm still wearing my Christmas jumper. I'll give it up any day now. And I've also still got a bit of a croaky voice, so please just bear with me. So this was the second solo album from Peter Tosh. It's my first time listening to it. I have been aware of Bob Marley and the Wailers. I'm only just really now understanding the names of some of the Wailers, Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer, for example. So when I came across this, I did know who he was, but only from about a month ago. So I would describe this very squarely as reggae. If most of your exposure to reggae has been Bob Marley, like me, then this will be very familiar to you as that kind of sounding reggae stuff. There's a track, well, 2 tracks that I recognise. There's Get Up, Stand Up, which was a hit for Bob Marley and the Wailers. It was co-written by Bob Marley. And there's a track called Down Presser Man, which is a version of Oh Sinner Man, which was originally a spiritual, has been done by versions of it by several people, but probably most famously by Nina Simone. And they've turned it, or Peter Tosh has turned it from being Sinner Man to Down Presser Man, which it doesn't say directly, but I'm guessing means somebody who oppresses somebody. Most of the songs are basically about black rights, about history of oppression, and that sort of thing. There's a bit of Rastafarian content in here. None of it is in the hindsight of looking back from whatever we're now 40 years on, 70, 80, 90, 50 years-ish, 45. So none of it is surprising, looking back at that. But it's a decent listen. I enjoyed listening to it. I would definitely listen to it again. It's in fact, yeah, I would say it's reggae of a quality of Bob Marley's. In fact, my son who was listening thought it was Bob Marley. It's that similar. So that's what I think. I'd love to hear from you. So what do you think? Please let me know through the comments box. That's it from me for now.
Down, press some